Finding the right person when you're looking for a serving director can feel like you're searching for a needle in a haystack. And it's so vital to do this well for such a significant and crucial role as a serving director. Hi, I'm John Finkeldy from Grow a Healthy Church. Welcome to this episode of Building a Leadership Pipeline, in which I'm going to help you find a serving director. In the previous episode, we talked about the central role and the profile and the job description of a serving director. Now, how do we find one? So, in today's episode, I'm going to teach you what to do if you don't have a standout candidate for the role. I'm going to give you two very specific steps on what you can do to find and to activate the right person. And I'm going to help you understand what you can do today to make sure you start moving into this crucial appointment. And lastly, I'm going to give you a simple task in giving you help to build a leadership pipeline. So, what if you haven't got an obvious candidate for the serving director? What can you do? Well, two things you can do, two steps you can take today, and one you can start immediately right now while you're enjoying this episode of the Build a Leadership Pipeline series. Number one will sound trite. It will sound a bit obvious. It will sound like, okay, John, I think I knew that already. But number one is pray. Jesus actually didn't ask us to pray for many things. He gave us the Lord's Prayer, whole great list of things to pray there. He said also, if you're in Jerusalem during the Great Tribulation, pray that it's not in winter so you can escape. Don't think you need to worry about that prayer unless you're living in Jerusalem during the Great Tribulation. But another prayer that Jesus told us to pray that was very specific, and I believe that this leans into the role of a serving director. He said, pray the Lord of the harvest for laborers in the harvest. A very specific prayer by Jesus. So when I say pray, I'm not trying to be trite. I'm not trying to be kind of like, oh, very cute, John, get us to pray about this. I'm really asking that you seek the Lord about the Lord providing and putting into the role of a person who is just the right fit for your church as a serving director. I think it wouldn't hurt you. Okay, let's do something radical here to even do some fasting to seek the Lord. Now, obviously, if you already have this role thriving in your church, this role is already filled in your church, then I think you could use this prayer angle that I'm talking about to actually boost their role, to encourage them in their role. Maybe get a few people on your prayer team praying for the serving director to be even more fruitful and effective in their ministry. But my experience tells me that over 4 decades, very few churches have a focused, intentionally assigned serving director. So begin to pray about it. Pray about this during your Sunday service. Bring it to the attention of the congregation. We want to appoint someone to the role of serving director. We're going to pray for that person right now that they will come into that role. Get your prayer team that you have. You do have a prayer team, don't you? Maybe that's for another episode in another series, I think. But get your prayer team praying for this. Get people who love prayer in your church praying for this. Get your small groups. Ask them during their small group meetings to actually pray about this. Get a wave of prayer happening in the life of the church. You may have felt a bit despondent after episode 2 and thought, well, I can't even think of anyone who could be a serving director in our church. Well, make this a step of faith. Make this a faith project for your church, that your church starts to go, you know what? This is going to help us build a leadership pipeline. This is going to help us grow a healthy church. Let's begin to pray into this. And I believe that the Lord will answer your cry. I believe that Lord will step in and bring a solution here. The very next step I want you to take is appoint someone. Pray about it for maybe a month, 5 or 6 weeks, but then, Pastor, pull the lever, appoint someone. Now, if you're leading a small church, Pastor, then I would suggest that you put the hat on, put the serving director hat on with the view of one, you're going to continue to pray for the Lord to provide someone. And two, you're actually going to create the role. You're actually going to refine the job description that you downloaded from episode 2. You're actually going to look at how you can make this begin to work. You're going to put some things into motion. You're going to move, and you may even decide, you know what? I'm going to build a serving director team. I can put some people around me to help me with this. Maybe someone will come out of that to become the serving director in your church. And maybe your option may be for a period of time during a transition period is actually a serving director team, a serving team that oversees and puts into place all the things that a serving director will do. Now, I think if, Pastor, you can wear the hat for a while, that can be helpful. Even in a larger church, that can be helpful to add momentum to the appointment, but you want a volunteer into that role. Now, for medium and large sized churches, I encourage you to spend a little bit of your budget on this. Put in an investment of 2 or 3 hours a week in employing a part time serving director. I don't think, unless you're a mega church, I don't think you'll ever need a full time serving director. But I think 2 or 3 hours a week to pay someone to be the serving director in a medium or large church, I think is a really good use of funds. Now, in a larger church, you may want to give this role to a staff member who's already got other roles, but I think there's real benefit to actually giving this role to someone as their only role. Now, that can be hard to do and it can be related to resources and people's availability, but give us some thought and prayer as to whether maybe I could just give Joel, who I know is doing some study. He's got a few hours spare a week. He's kind of going to be the right fit into the role. I'm going to pay him 2 or 3 hours a week to become the serving director. And Joel might do it for a year or two and then build it up and hand on to someone else. Who knows where it'll go? But I think actually taking the step to appoint someone into the role is going to be really crucial to make sure. So there you go, 2 steps to take. So one thing you're going to do from today, and I want you to start right now, is begin to seek the Lord, begin to pray, begin to ask the Lord for a solution here. So that's your one takeaway from today is begin to pray yourself for this role, for this person, and then begin to mobilize prayer across your groups, across your prayer teams, across your Sunday services. Bring it to the church regularly, pray into it, use it as a faith project you're believing God to provide here. And I believe the Lord will want to raise a laborer up for the harvest in this. Now, thank you so much. If you're already subscribing to this series, thank you for doing that. If you're not a subscriber yet, smash that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, and you'll be getting all the episodes, the 27 episodes in this game changing transformation series on building a leadership pipeline. Make sure you do subscribe. And also check out the link in the notes. Check it out. There's a link in the notes. Yep, there's the link right there. There's a link there to a 3-minute evaluation quiz on mastering the art of building a serving culture in your church. 3-minute short quiz. It'll give you a lot of ideas, a lot of inspiration about building a leadership pipeline. We'll see you in episode 4. God bless you.